we need to talk about the finals. And to clarify, I mean the video game, the finals, not the finals of whatever sporting event you're currently following. Season 3 recently released, and the reception has been mixed. And considering how massively the new season changed the game, this is to be expected. So, like, subscribe, and let's talk about Terminal Attack. Alright, first off, what is it and how does it work? Terminal Attack was a temporary game mode they added in Season 2, and it was a search and destroy mode similar to CSGO or Valorant. There are two teams, attackers and defenders. Attackers have to deliver the encryption key. Editor's note, I misspoke here, it's called decryption key. So one of the two terminals that are in the map. If the defenders kill all the attackers before they get to a terminal, they win. If the defenders are able to interrupt the decryption, they win. One of the biggest changes for Season 3 was that the temporary Terminal Attack game mode became the permanent rank game mode. And when they found this out, people worried that the finals was going to become a more generic shooter and lose a lot of what made it unique. We've had the game mode for about 2 weeks now, and you may be wondering, did that happen? No, not even slightly. The two main reasons why this game is still incredibly unique are destruction and movement. In the finals, you can blow up. This is a big deal. Being able to significantly alter your environment is something that other games just don't really have that much. Like, in Siege, you're able to create a hole in the wall, but in the finals, you're able to literally topple entire buildings. And when those buildings contain a movable objective that both of the teams are aiming for, your use of both the environment and your destructive gadgets can completely change how a round goes. And talking about utilizing our environment leads us right into talking about movement. The different classes have entirely different ways of navigating through their environment. Light are able to use dash and grapple to maneuver through the environment in ways that other classes just don't have access to. Keep in mind that I didn't talk about invis there. We will bring it up again later. Medium can use jump pad and zipline to create entirely new pathways through the environment, and heavy can just bulldoze through it. And while other games do have characters with unique movement abilities, they just don't offer anywhere near the same freedom as the finals. So in terms of uniqueness, we really don't have anything to worry about. The base gameplay does more than enough to keep that alive. But with the summary out of the way, we can now start talking about what's currently happening with Season 3 of the finals. Because there has been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of rebalancing. There's new items that have been added. Some items have kind of been removed from the game. Heavy got a Roadhog hook and a spear. Medium's got dual katanas that can reflect bullets. And Light's got bow and thermal ball, which is a long-range distraction gadget. All of the new gadgets are cool, but outside of maybe thermal ball, none of them become like a must-pick for their classes. And we're going to talk about why now. Because now that we know what the new game mode is, and we know what the new items are, we should probably talk about actually playing the game. One of the first things you'll notice when you play the game is there's been a pretty significant shift in the meta. The biggest change is that Lights aren't complete dog anymore. In fact, I would go so far as to say they might actually be good, which, outside of some certain cheese builds like Invis Shotgun or Invis Stun Gun, hasn't really happened before. The meta for the past 2 seasons has been pretty much exclusively mediums and heavies. Every team comp was focused on having at least one medium, which heals everybody, and then the second someone dies, just instantly reses them. What this usually resulted in was long-lasting teamfights where not a whole lot happened, and yeah, they just reinvented goats from Overwatch. It's just goats again. But you may be wondering, if this meta's been so dominant for so long, how come it collapsed the second Season 3 released? So, in Terminal Attack, you're not able to heal or revive allies, which kind of interferes a bit with the setup. But that's not the only reason why life's gotten stronger. In Terminal Attack, health regeneration works differently. You still start regenerating after not taking damage for a certain period of time, but each class is only able to heal up to 100 HP. Now, for Lights that only have 150 HP to start with, having 100 isn't that big a deal. But for mediums, and especially for heavies, who have way less mobility and are a lot more reliant on their health bars to stay alive, having only 100 HP means they're kind of just But the biggest reason why Light is so strong now is actually due to something that they've had since the very first beta. It's just that up until now, it wasn't particularly useful. And that thing is range. In Cash Out, having longer range weaponry wasn't particularly useful. But Terminal Attack has changed a lot of the things that made long-range weaponry pretty mediocre. There's only 2 teams, meaning that a third party can't sneak up on you while you're shooting at another team. You know where the enemy team starts, which means you can work out where they're going to come from and shoot at them before they're right next to you. Players cannot heal to full. If you hit a medium with a fully charged bow shot, they're now down to 130 HP, and players are no longer able to revive. Previously, when you got a kill from halfway across the map, it was incredibly easy for the teammates to just grab the totem and revive them even without using defib. Now, if you get a kill, that lasts until the end of the round. All of this combined to turn range from something that was previously fairly useless into a weapon that's incredibly effective against the enemy team. I'm guessing they didn't realize this would happen because they also buffed the LH1, and so lights with LH1 was pretty much all you would see in this game for like a week straight. Luckily, now that LH1 has been nerfed and people are getting better at playing around range using things like cover, we're starting to see a bit more diversity in the builds again, because long-range weapons still have the crucial weakness of they kind of suck close range. With possibly the exception of the bow, but I'm also the only person I ever see using it, so it doesn't matter, I guess. But even with all that said, a good long-range light player can absolutely dominate a match, so I do think the devs need to find a way to turn it down a bit. They have a couple of ways of going about this. They could add more cover into some of the arenas, so it's easier for players to avoid getting shot at. They can make it so that mediums and heavies are able to regenerate to more than 100 health, or they can do what I think is the best option, and get rid of Invis. Told you we were going to talk about it. Throughout the history of the light class, Invis has been the most popular specialization because it's just always been the best. Previously, whenever light's been too strong, it's been because Invis has been enabling them to get way too much value out of stun gun or shotgun or SMG, and now it's doing similar with the sniper and the LH1, allowing players to either get so close that they can't possibly miss, or line up their shots without the enemies even knowing they're there. And by making it way easier to use these weapons close range, it nullifies what's supposed to be the big weakness of these weapons, and just makes them way too powerful. Due to the very nature of the Invis specialization, it's always going to make lights nearly impossible to balance, because we have Dash and Grapple, which are two mobility-focused specializations, and then we've got Invis, which is entirely different. And I get that there are going to be quite a few people who aren't super happy with the crutch that they used to play light being removed. But unless Embark wants to pretty heavily buff Dash and Grapple to try and get them to the same level as Invis, I think it's better for them to remove Invis and focus on balancing light around being this high mobility run and gun skirmisher, rather than having to, every time they make a change, consider whether or not it's going to make Invis too overpowered. I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of removing Invis, because even though I've never used it, I don't like the idea of removing certain playstyles from the game. But I think if they just took Invis out for a month or so and tried to figure out a way of actually making it fit into the class better, it would just be better for the overall health of both light class specifically and the game in general. But anyway, big Invis ran over. Let's talk about how it actually feels to play Terminal Attack. It's really fun. The gameplay feels far more focused than Cash Out did. You can play the game with far more strategy than just camp next to the Cash Out station, and there are plenty more opportunities to outplay and outmaneuver the enemy team in ways that aren't just either having better aim or having a better team comp. I don't know, maybe I'm just biased because non-Invis Light is finally not complete dog. But I've been having a ton of fun playing Terminal Attack, being apparently the only person to use the bow, because I swear to God everyone was using it for like a few days and then just vanished off the face of the earth, and not being on the subreddit, because I swear to God, the people on there 10 times more than they've ever played the game. And that's the end of the video. Sorry the video's a day late, and I think the editing was maybe not worse, but there was just less of it. I was pretty busy during the week. Either way, like, subscribe. Some of the footage was from my Twitch. Come check me out over there. And, see you next time.